Hey everybody, this is Ishmael Naji, and this is the news for the week. I appreciate y'all for watching and hope y'all enjoy. Have a good day.
Hi, Mr. McGuire. Thank
How's
you
it
for
going,
meeting
man?
with me today. I'm Will Pyatt, and I'm meeting with Mr. McGuire for an interview.
Thanks for having me,
My,
man.
my first question is, why did you want to become a teacher?
I've always liked working with individuals. I'm somewhat of a people person. So even when I was my freshman and sophomore year in college, I used to do some volunteer work for schools, and that's kind of where I got excited about it. And it also, I really enjoyed playing sports, and that was going to be another way for me to get into coaching as well. So I was excited about that. So those are two reasons why I really wanted to get into education.
All right, thank you. How long have you been a teacher?
This will make my 24th year. I have been in several different systems. I started off being a high school art teacher, and then I did some work with behavioral work, and then I got really smart and I became an assistant principal for a while, for about 5 years. But then when I had the opportunity to come up to Lexington and start a program like we have here, working with Mr. Jones, that I jumped all over. I really enjoy it. And so this will finish up my 24th year this year.
All right. How long have you taught at Crawford?
This will start my 5th year. So this is my 5th year starting at Crawford. So it's be really exciting to see how we do things. And I've gotten to see students go through, like yourself. You being in 7th grade, you'll have an opportunity to go through the whole program and see kind of how the program works. And as you all in the media team have added to the program, each year we add something to it. So finishing up, I should say, my 5th year.
If you weren't a teacher, what job would you have?
Oh, wow. If I was not a teacher, there's a lot of different things I would love to have done. I did have a theater minor for a while, but because I played ball, I couldn't continue that. But I was into acting actually when I was in college. I would probably also like to be, I don't know. That's a tough one. I would love to be an NFL coach. That would be awesome. Or maybe even a college football coach. That would be cool as well. But with me getting into all this technology and all this cool stuff, I've really gotten into video editing. So I would say right now, I would like to be a video engineer for like maybe ESPN or the NFL channel or even Nickelodeon, something cool like that.
All right, thank you. What's your favorite thing to do outside of school?
Pretty much just hang out with friends. My wife is my best friend. We do a whole lot of stuff together. I'm some friend. I got a lot of friends at school, like the expos. We text a whole lot and talk about different things. We like to eat. We like to cook different meals. I got a griddle over Christmas, and we try different recipes. And I like to barbecue a whole lot. Play guitar sometimes when I get bored. And obviously, I got to throw in the technology. I'm kind of about that technology, so I like to do cool stuff like that. And then I spend a lot of time with my daughter and her likes and passions with her horses. And then my son, we really enjoy going outside and throwing football and taking walks and just doing all kinds of cool
Hannah,
stuff.
can you hold on?
It's all good. Let's run through it. Hey, that's her sister. Hey, that's perfect. That's a part of the interview process.
What do you
Don't let
need?
her throw you off your game. You're good.
I need to use them for. Hold on, Hannah.
We'll edit this. It's all good.
Did you have a favorite class in school?
Oh, my favorite class. in school? Well, obviously, because I love sports, I love PE. You know, I kind of like physical activity. But there was something about the arts classes that I took, and that's probably why I. So we're getting all kinds of interruptions. But that's just how it goes. Um, I took a high school art class, really liked it, had a really good art teacher, and became really good friends with a bunch of group of students there. Back then, we didn't have computers in schools. We just did fine arts and drawing and painting and watercolor and cool stuff like that. Got into three-dimensional design, and that I guess that just took, you know, really well. And then when I got into college, I decided it was going to be between being a PE teacher and I really liked history, or an art teacher. And I knew that technology was kind of coming down the pike. So I got into doing some photography and some things like that. So that culminated into me being in technology and arts.
All right, thank you.
And I also like lunch. Lunch was cool because you get to socialize and you know, back in the early 90s, it was kind of fun. So, and sorry about these blinks. I got these kids trying to join the Zoom class, so I might have to tell them not to. I'll have to tell them not to join.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Hey, I got a question or so for you. Could you answer a question for me?
All right.
What do you like best about being in media arts?
Probably being in the news team.
Being in the news team. And I got one last question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how cool is Miss Pyatt?
7.
What? Well, I don't know, man. I would have said 10 because, you know, there's some cool things the parents can do for you. But anyway, thanks for interviewing me. Guys, this is Will Pyatt, and he wanted to interview me because it's not happening. We're going to do a lot of other cool things in media arts, and it takes a lot of courage for these kids to do interviews like this. So, Will, I appreciate you, and I will see you soon.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kylie Huffman. I'm a 7th grade Royal, and today I am here with my math teacher, Miss Simpson. So, Miss Simpson, how are you today?
Lovely. Fantastic. It's Thursday, so
Yeah,
last day of classes for the week.
that's awesome. First question, do you have any kids?
I do. I have 2. First one is Sawyer. He is 3.5, and the other one is 6 months, and his name is Silas.
Nice. What sport or sports did you play in high school?
So I played soccer, and I did cheerleading, and I did track for a year, I think.
So you were really athletic.
I was very active, had a lot of energy.
I wish I had a lot of energy. I'm like a couch potato.
We didn't have Netflix and internet and anything to watch on TV, so I read, but I was outside a lot.
Yeah. How long have you been teaching?
6, 7, 8, 9. I think this is my 9th or 10th year. I should know the answer to that question.
Yeah, you probably should.
It's 9 or 10. I don't know. I don't know if I just finished 9 or if this is 9. I can't remember. Last year runs into this year because we've been online so much.
Yeah. Last question. What school was your first school that you taught at?
Royal Spring Middle School in Scott County was the first school I taught at. It's also where I did my student teaching for school and where I met my husband. So, and then I moved from there to Crawford because we moved to Lexington because my husband started coaching.
That's going to be a funny story to tell your children. So, I started teaching and then I met your dad.
Yep. We kept it very hush-hush when we started dating because we didn't want the students to know because they were very interested in everything we did. So
That sounds about right.
it was quite a surprise when I showed up one day with a ring on my finger because they didn't realize we had been dating for so long.
Oh. So, thank you for taking the time out of your day to answer these questions.
Absolutely.
And I hope you have a good rest of the day.
People don't care how much you know, unless they know how much you care. Don't count the days, make the days count by Muhammad Ali. It's not the years of life that count, it's the life in the years by Abraham Lincoln. We may encounter defeats, but do not be defeated by Maya Angelou. Appear weak when you are strong, and strong when you are weak by Sun Tzu, Art of War.
Our first quote is by Brian Tracy. I'll read it out, then it will stay on the screen for a few seconds so you can read it. I will then move on to the next quote. There are no limits to what you can accomplish except the limits you place on your own thinking. This quote means that you can do anything you set your mind to if you believe in yourself. Our next quote is by Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. I'll read the quote out and it will stay on your screen for a few seconds so you can read it on your own. I will then show a tech tip. Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Wishing is not enough, we must do. The first part of this quote means that if we know something, we have to apply it to whatever you are doing. The second part of this quote means we have to stop wishing for things and dreaming to do something, but we have to just do it. We will now move on to our tech tip. The tech tip of this week is using Control and the plus sign to zoom in on your screen and using Control minus sign to zoom out. I will show a video demonstration in the next portion. This is what it looks like on a Chromebook keyboard. This is what it looks like on a tab.
Life has no limitations except the ones you make. Creativity is a wild-minded and disciplined mind. Don't wait for the right opportunity. Create it.
This is Inside the NFL with Davion Sturgis. In the first round of the NFL playoffs, the Browns versus the Steelers, The Steelers started off the game with a bad snap, leading to the Browns scoring from a fumble recovery.
In rushing. And they start with a horrible snap all the way back to the 2-yard line, and the Browns bounce it into the end zone where they wind up with a touchdown.
The very next play, the Steelers threw a pick.
TJ is the likely winner of that award as the pass is intercepted at the 50-yard line.
Coach Green, why did you get into education?
All right. I got an education because my junior year of high school, I kind of went through a rough spurt with some family stuff, and I was pretty low in terms of like emotions. And one of my teachers was really good about keeping me in check. Like she kept saying like, "Hey, how are you?" And she did a whole lot of things to make sure that I was okay on a daily or weekly basis. And when I started talking to my family about going to college, I said, hey, I think I want to become a teacher and be able to give back what has been given to me. So that is the reason that I initially wanted to become a teacher. And I initially was going to be a social science and history teacher.
And then my second question is, why did you want to become a volleyball coach?
Often with teaching physical education, almost a requirement of the job is being a coach as well. And my best sport coming out of college was definitely volleyball. So it seemed only natural to stick with what I knew best. But I've actually, before I became a teacher at Crawford, I taught for 10 years in Chicago public schools, and I've coached track and field, boys basketball, girls basketball, flag football, soccer, and cross country, as well as volleyball.
And then have you ever played pro volleyball, or have you thought about it?
Okay. Yeah, I have played in a semi-professional sense. I've played in tournaments to win money and have definitely won money in the past. I've also gone and traveled in Europe to represent our country. If COVID gets better, I will be in Europe this summer in Italy playing for a third time, but it's as an amateur, not as a professional. But I have done a lot of both and thought about at one point becoming a professional volleyball player, but it doesn't pay a whole lot. And to be honest, when I was teaching in Chicago, I made more money than I would have as a professional volleyball player.
And then, do you play any other sports besides volleyball?
Yes, I play disc golf. I play ultimate here and there. I do triathlons, which is a 3-prong event where you swim, then bike, and then run, and it's all one event, which is similar to a marathon, but 3 different events. And I do some climbing, and I do a lot of hiking.
And then what else do you do besides volleyball, like any other hobbies?
My hobbies outside of volleyball are probably gardening at this point and cooking, and then taking care of my 2 doggies. I've got 2 dogs that are 2 years old, and they have just as much energy as me. So we play for 3+ hours a day.
And then what are some things you're doing over quarantine?
Oh, pretty much the things that I just said. A lot more hiking than normal. I bought a pair of shoes in March, and they were all hiked out by September, and had to get a new pair of shoes. That's how much hiking we did this summer. And then I built a really big garden. So I also started making my own hot sauce and made my own barbecue sauce, and then started doing some different cooking type things. So spent a lot of time in the kitchen and out on the trails in the Red River Gorge area.
And then what are a couple of fun facts about you?
Ooh, couple of fun facts. I was born in Hawaii. Another fun fact. Let's see. I don't know. Am I fun? Oh, I don't really watch TV. So that's a fun fact. It's not really my thing. I've watched a little bit during COVID, but before COVID started, I didn't really watch TV at all. What was that?
So, like our whole house was shaking. I don't know what it was. Sorry, I got distracted for a moment.
And I have done bike rides of over 1,000 miles.
And then last question, actually. What if you didn't teach volleyball and like just a random, like if you had a random subject, like if you got to pick a random subject, what would that random subject be? Like a new subject?
A new subject to teach?
No, like a new subject in general.
A new thing to do as a job? New thing to do as a job, I would be a surf instructor in Costa Rica.
And then it's subject related, but like for school, there's math, science. What was another thing that you would like for teachers to teach to students?
Another thing that I would like teachers to teach to students, I would really like them to teach finance, like adult finance, so that kids can learn how to manage their bank accounts, learn about what you need to do to buy a house or a car, what credit scores mean, and stuff like that.
Okay, well, that's all for this interview.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.